right? All right, so direct speech is something someone says, right? Words that someone says. The exact words that someone says that we put in quotation marks. Quotation marks are like those two bunny ears, all right? We also call them inverted commas. And indirect speech is another name for indirect speech is reported speech. So when you want to report what someone said to you or someone said to another person, then you use reported speech, okay? And you do not use any quotation marks in reported speech. Another word for reported speech is indirect speech. Okay, so let's look at this example. So this stick guy over here, he's Jensen, and Jensen is talking to Ellie, and Jensen tells Ellie, I won the soccer match, right? So that's Jensen's words exactly. But then Ellie goes to her friend Nina. Nina is this girl, by the way. And Ellie tells Nina what Jason said. So she says, Jason said that he won the soccer match. Do you see how she's reporting what Jason said instead of saying exactly what he said and how he said it? Let's look at the difference. So when Jason is talking, he's saying, I won the soccer match. And when Ali is reporting what Jason said, she does not say, Jason said that I won the soccer match. She changes the pronoun I to the pronoun he. All right. So it's just like, in a normal case scenario where, for example, Samia tells me, ma'am, I just completed my homework. All right. And if I had to go to another teacher and tell the teacher, Samia said that she just completed her homework. Do you see how I'm reporting what she said and I'm not saying exactly what she's saying? And that is what we are going to practice today. Let's look at another example. So the teacher tells the girl, don't chew gum in school, right? And that's directly what the teacher is telling the girl. Then the girl goes to her father and tells her father what the teacher said. My teacher told me not to chew gum in school. So what is the difference between what the teacher said and what the girl is relating to her father? The teacher said, don't chew gum in school. And when the child is relating to her father, don't changes to not to. Okay? Let's look at a few more rules over here. So when we change direct speech to indirect speech, we need to change the time. Today becomes that day. Tomorrow becomes the next day or the following day. Yesterday becomes the previous day or the day before. Next week becomes the following week. Last week becomes the week before or the previous week. And now becomes then. So these are very, very important because we're going to look at examples and I'll show you how it will be applied here. All right, so again with Jason and Ellie. Jason tells Ellie, I will call you tomorrow, right? And then a week later, Ellie tells Nina, he said that he would call me the next day, but he did not. So can you see how when Ellie is relating to Nina, what Jason said to Ellie, she's changing the word I. She no more says I because now she's talking about Jason, which becomes he. And tomorrow becomes the next day, right? Because if Ellie said, he said that he would call me tomorrow, it doesn't make sense because now they are in a new week, a new time. All right, so let's put what Jason said into direct speech. So if we are writing a story or we're writing our books and we want to quote exactly what someone is saying, we need to use direct speech. Jason said to Ellie, I will call you tomorrow. All right, and can you guys see how after it says Jason said to Ellie, there is a comma. After the comma, we have open inverted commas. I will call you tomorrow, full stop. And lastly, close inverted commas. Okay? Inverted commas are like They put everything in a place and then they close it off. So think of it like a lid. All right, how do you put this sentence into indirect speech? Remember, we change direct speech to indirect speech. And we can also do it the other way around. But for this lesson, we will only be changing direct to indirect speech. Okay, Jason said to Ellie, I will call you tomorrow. You put that indirect speech by saying, Jason told Ellie, or you can say said to Ellie, that he would call her the next day. Can you see how we are adding the next day here? We're also adding that. Okay. All right. So guys, let's go into a few examples here, right? Because I know that I'm the main person talking, but I also want to hear some input from you guys as well. So let's look at this example. He said she always wears a coat. How can we put this in indirect speech? Let me know in the chat. How would you, if he said to you, she always wears a coat, how do you relate what he said to someone else? Just let me know what you think the answer is in the chat. Well done, Wolf. So you'd say it like, he said that she always wears a coat. It's as simple as that. Right? So how do you know that you need to keep the tense? What is the tense? There are 3 types of tenses. There's past tense, there's present tense, and there's future tense. In this sentence here, we determine the tense by looking at the word that comes before the comma, and that word is called the introductory verb, right? Or the introductory verb. So if you think of the word introductory, it means introduction. Introduction is the start of something. Okay, guys, I wonder why Dalen is not in this call. Normally he is like on time and stuff. So that is weird. Anyway, okay, so that's how you'll do it, right, guys? But let's look at sentence number 2. Chad says it is going to snow today. What is the tense of that sentence? Remember, we determine the tense by the introductory verb in the beginning of the sentence. So tell me the tense in the chat. Is it past, is it present, or is it future? Brooklyn says future. It's not future, because if it was future, it would be will say. And it's not past because it's not set. So Wolf says it's present. Yes, it is present, right? So we need to keep, whenever it's present tense, so the introductory verb is present, we need to keep the entire sentence in the present tense when we're changing it to reported speech. So if we say here, Chad says it is going to snow today, we keep everything in that tense because we're not changing the tense. So if I had to tell someone else what Chad said, I would say, Chad says that it is going to snow today. Can you guys see how everything stays the same? In another scenario, if this was said, it was a past tense verb, then everything here would change to the past tense. Today would change to the next day, right? We're going to do like many examples. So if you're not getting it immediately, do not stress. Okay, let's look at number 5. I'm going to highlight number 5 for you guys. I've lost my dog, exclaimed the child. Before we begin, can you guys see how in this sentence the direct speech is coming first? The quotation marks are coming first. And then the introductory verb, and then we know who is talking. Okay, and that's how it can be written, guys. So you don't always have to start with she complained or the introductory verb. You can also start with the quotation marks. So what is the tense of this sentence here? How do you determine the tense? You look for the introductory verb. And I'm just going to highlight the introductory verb for you. The introductory verb is exclaimed. And there are three forms of the word exclaimed in tense-wise. Will exclaim, exclaimed, and exclaim. So it's just like said, says, and will say. Okay, so I think you guys are a little bit hesitant for this one. But exclaimed, can you see the E and D? That is a past tense verb. All right, so we know that this entire sentence is now, it needs to be reported in the past tense. So the child exclaimed that he or she, or let's imagine that it's a he, right? That he had lost his dog. Okay, guys. All right, let's look at another one. She announced, I'm going to the coast next week. So in the sentence, the introductory verb is announced. Tell me, is the word announced past, present, or future? Well done. Announced is in the past, right? So how would you change this into reported speech? And I want all of you to try. I'm going to give you a clue. The word next week changes. It changes when you report. Good, Vian and Samia. Remember, when you're changing it to reported speech, you're telling another person what she said, what she announced, right? And there's like two ways of saying the sentence. So there's not just like one standard way. She announced that she's going to the coast. She's going to the coast the following week. Okay. So that, well done, Wolf, by the way. She announced that she, okay, so remember that it's now in the past tense, so everything becomes past tense. She was going to the coast. The next week becomes the following week. I'm just admitting Dale in here. Okay. So the following week is something you're changing. And the was there. That's also something that you have changed. And if you want to write it in another way, you would say, she announced that she would be going to the coast the following week. Okay, guys. All right. I hope that you guys are with me so far. Let's look at the next one. She said, I have written 3 letters for my friend. So, what is the tense of the sentence? We find the tense by looking at the introductory verb. The introductory verb introduces what she's saying, right? So, the word said, good, is the past tense verb. So, if I have to put this into indirect speech, I would say, she said that she, so have becomes had. She had written 3 letters for her friend. Making sense? So have becomes had, right? And there we go. We don't even need to use that all the time. So you can say she said she had written 3 letters for her friend. You can also say it like that. Okay. Let's look at another one. He said, I will finish my report in 2 days. Here we look at the introductory verb. It's also in the past. So if we want to change it, we need to change will, the tense of will. And yeah, that's it. So he said that he would. The past tense of will is would, right? Finish his report in 2 days. Okay, let's look at this one here. I want you all to try to answer this one here. I can speak English, she commented haughtily. Commented is the introductory verb here, but it's in the past tense. So that means when you're relating it to someone, it must be in the past. So everything changes to the past tense. I'm going to give you guys 2 minutes to answer that. When you comment haughtily, you are like you are proud, right? You are saying something in a prideful manner. Guys, I am recording this, so I will upload it to YouTube, and if you guys want to check it out later, you may do so. She haughtily commented that she could speak English. Good. So the word can changes to could, because remember we're changing everything into the past tense. Okay, we'll just keep that in mind. So can changes to could, right? So she and I like how you put haughtily before commented. Excellent. She haughtily commented, and you can also say she commented haughtily, that's fine, that she could speak English. You guys see how we changed can to could? Right, and everything else stays the same. What are we changing? We are changing the she. Instead of saying I, we are changing the pronoun to she. Okay, all right. I just want to check in here. Who is understanding and who is finding this a little bit difficult? Speak up. A little confusing. Okay. All right, that's okay. Let's try another one. It's a little bit difficult. Okay. All right, so let's look at number 14. He said, I have to submit this assignment by 3 p.m. tomorrow. So in this case, guys, the introductory verb is past. Okay, so it's in the past tense. Said. So that means that everything that he's saying in quotation marks needs to change to indirect speech, needs to change to the past tense. So I have becomes had, right? Submit this by 3 p.m. tomorrow. Tell me, what does tomorrow change to in indirect speech? Let me go up to remind you guys. So tomorrow becomes the next day or the following day, all right? Only when you're changing it to the past tense. So if we put this into indirect speech, it will be, he said that he had, right? Have becomes had, to submit this, this becomes that. Assignment by 3 p.m. and tomorrow becomes the next day. Okay, so there's just a few tells that you must remember that changes, and I'm going to edit for you guys in this document, so no matter which sentence you're doing, you can always refer back to that. Right, so just one more that I need to add in. This becomes that. Okay, let's do an easy one, which all of you can answer. Just 1 second, guys. Okay, I'm gonna add an easy one, right? He Right. He said, I am lost. How do you change that into indirect speech? Remember, because said is past tense, then everything else needs to change to the past tense. So the verb am will also change to the past tense. Vian's close. He said that he, but is becomes. Remember, it's in the past. So what's the past tense of is? Good. He said that, or you can just say he said he was lost. It's as simple as that, right, guys? So the complicated ones are, there's just more things that you need to convert. Let's look at this one here. She complained, I'm always looking for my keys. So complained is in the past tense. And we know we need to change the verb am. Yeah, there we go. So well done, guys. So I want you guys to help me convert this into reported speech. She complained, I'm always looking for my keys. How do we change that to reported speech? Just a second, people. Sorry about that. Okay, so we'll say she complained that she was always looking for her keys. It's as simple as that. Well done. She complained that she was always looking for her keys. Do you see how we change all the pronouns? So my becomes her, am becomes was, I becomes she, and everything else stays the same. Well done, Vian. You just need to change is to was. Okay. All right. Moving on. Guys, let's see if we have a question. How do we answer that? Right at number 20. David said to me, or David asked me, I'm just moving number 20 to 21. How are you? And if we want to change a question into reported speech, so if Vian asked me, ma'am, how are you? And if I want to tell Wolf what Vian asked me, I'm going to say, Vian asked me how I was. Okay? So let's put this in, yeah, let's just keep it in the tense here. So David said to me, yeah, well done. Let's put it as David asked. David asked me how I was. Okay. So are becomes was because we're changing everything into the past tense. Well done, guys. Right, let's look at this one. She asked the police officer, did you arrest the man? So in this case, the introductory verb is asked, and asked is past tense. So you need to change everything into the past tense. Oh, okay. So I'm going to give you guys the answer for this one, right? So you'd say she asked the police officer if he arrested You guys see how we change it? We must make sense when we talk, right? So we add the word if into this equation. He asked the police officer if he arrested the man. Okay, you can also use the word whether instead of if. If you want to use the word whether, it's going to look like this. He asked the police officer whether he arrested the man. Well done, Vian. You're really on the roll today, hey? Very good. Okay, let's look at another one. This is a very interesting one. So number 17. Ouch, she yelled. You stumped my toe. So guys, in this case, we cannot put the word ouch in indirect speech. Okay, so we can't tell someone else, she yelled ouch, I had stamped her toe. All right, we need to find another way to put the word ouch. So how we do that is we say, how was she feeling when her toe got stamped, when she said ouch? She was feeling pain. So you would say, she yelled in pain. So the word in pain will be the substitute for the word ouch. That I had stumped her toe. Can you see how instead of you, I changed you to I, right? Whenever indirect speech they're saying you, it always becomes I in indirect speech or reported speech. So you can change the sentence. Yeah, right? How do you change the sentence? Whenever there's like an exclamation like aish or ouch or wow. All right, let's look at another example. Wow, she yelled. Today. Okay, what a lovely surprise. Right? I want you guys to help me do this one. So tell me, how did she yell? When she was yelling, was she in pain? Was she happy? Was she sad? How was she doing it? And starts with, she yelled with something, the emotion that you need to add. Yeah, joy, excellent. It's not sadness because, well, not necessarily sadness because it's a surprise, right? A lovely surprise at that. So she yelled with joy that it was a lovely surprise, for example. And guys, I'm not going to be too strict with, the way that you formulate the sentences because you guys are still in grade 7, right? So you're still going to learn how to do this. So don't stress about that too much. He said to me, how are you doing? This is another question. So how would you put that into indirect speech? Remember, you becomes I in reported speech. And everything is in the past tense now when I change it to reported speech because the introductory verb is past tense. Well done, Wolf. He asked me how I was doing. Asked me how I was doing. Okay, guys, but what if I changed it up a little bit? What if I made the introductory verb present tense? He says to me, how are you doing? Then how do you change it? Remember, if it's present tense, nothing changes in terms of tense. The tense stays the same. And let's add today. How are you doing today? And just try to answer the question, even if you got it wrong. The introductory verb is says, and says is present tense. And Sania says, said to me. Said is the past tense. We want to keep the tense of the sentence. So it becomes he says to me. We keep the tense says. We keep it present. He says to me how I am doing today. Do you guys see that? Or he asks me, good Wolf, right? So you can choose the introductory verb in this case. Do you want to say asks or do you want to say says? All right, but can you guys see how am stays the same and today is the same? Okay. All right, so I'm not sure if you guys are understanding this. I hope that you are. Let's do one more question and then I'll let you guys, then we can end the call. Okay. Right, she remarked with joy, my friend gave me a bar of chocolates. How would you put that into indirect speech? So the first thing you need to ask yourself is, what is the tense of the sentence? How do we know the tense? We ignore everything else in the quotation marks, and we look at the introductory verb remarked. Remarked is the past tense. Yes, well done, Samia. So how do we put the sentence into indirect speech? She remarked with joy that her friend gave her. Well done, Vian. Excellent. Oh my word, I'm so happy right now that you're getting it. Joy that her friend gave her a bar of chocolate. So guys, when you're trying to convert from direct to indirect speech, think of it as you're trying to tell somebody else what someone told you. Okay, and in this case, because it's English, we're trying to stick to grammar and proper punctuation as much as we can. So we're just tweaking a few things from how you would usually talk. Okay, because sometimes when we talk, we don't really say things correctly, but we are practicing indirect speech to correct that speech. Okay, so just to recap, I'm going to give you this exercise and you guys are going to refer to this little block here. All right, if anything needs to change from direct to indirect speech. But remember, if the tense is present, so that means that if the verb that comes before the quotation mark, such as this verb here, right? If that verb is present, if it's instead of said, it says, right? Then nothing changes. The tense doesn't change. Then when you're changing it into indirect speech, it will stay as tomorrow. Does it make sense? And even will changes the same. You will call her tomorrow. Tells Ellie. Okay, any last questions before we end off? Anything I can help you guys understand better? You can let me know in the chat. Nope. Okay. Yes, Vian, you done excellent. Well done. I'm actually quite surprised and happy too. I'm just going to see one more thing, guys. This is my little memorandum. Okay, let's look at a sentence with must. I must go to the bank and get some money, she said. Now, remember in this sentence, the introductory verb is at the end. The introductory verb is said. It is in the past tense. So we need to change everything here into the past tense. Oh, it's good to hear, Dalen, because I know you came in later, but I think you catch on fast now. So in this case, must, I'll show you how must changes. She said that she had to. Must changes to had to. And why is it had to? Because it's in the past tense. Had to go to the bank and get some money. Right? You may go quickly. Okay, so guys, let's look at it as a present tense sentence. So just say I had to change the introductory verb to says, right? Just to recap, it's called introductory verb because it tells us who's saying what. Okay, and it usually comes before the quotation. So if it was she says, then how would we change the sentence? Instead of saying had to, what do we make it? Because had is the past tense. And what is the present of had? Shall is future. Have could be present. So let's put this into a sentence. She says that but we can't use has in the sentence. So another word we can use is has. She has to go to the bank and get some money.